So, once again, a very good evening to all, and thank you for being here today. I am Dr. Shiva Shankar Reddy, a postdoctoral fellow at Lincoln University, Malaysia. I'll be sharing a practical insights on writing high quality book chapters that can be published in a reputable scopus and Web of Science indexed publications. So before we dive in, let me outline what you will take away from today's session. So these are the four objectives from the foundation of successful academic writing. The objective one is understand chapter design. Many researchers jump straight into writing without proper planning. So this is a critical mistake. Here we have to know how to structure your chapter like a professional architect designs a building with a clear blueprint. So good design prevents 80% of common writing problems. Objective 2 is learn academic writing. Academic writing has its own conventions and expectations. We find to cover the formal tone, structure, and style that reviewers and editors expect. It is not creative writing, it's a precise evidence based communication. Coming to the objective 3, avoid common mistakes. So when I reviewed hundreds of chapter submissions, I see that same mistakes repeatedly. Today I will show you these pitfalls so we can avoid them from the start. Okay, so learning from others mistakes saves you months of revision time. Coming to the objective 4, prepare for publication. The ultimate goal is publication in indexed venues like Scopus and Web of Science. You will learn what publishers look for and how to position your work for acceptance. Then coming to the topic selection strategy, here we have to very careful that we have to choose a topic which determines 50% of your publication success. A poorly chosen topic, no matter how well written, will struggle to find a publisher. In this, we have to choose a niche. We have to choose a niche topic. That means broad topics like machine learning or cloud computing are too general. Instead, focusing on something specific, we have to concentrate on federated learning for healthcare IoT or edge computing in smart cities. These topics demonstrate expertise and fill such specific gaps in the literature. So we have to ask ourselves that can we explain my topic in one precise sentence? If not, it's too broad. Identify research gap. A research gap is an unanswered question, an unsolved problem, or an unexplored area. How to find gaps? Here we have to read recent review papers, check the feature work sections of papers, attend conferences. Our chapter must address something that has not been adequately covered anywhere. That means any before. Okay, align with current trends. So editors want chapters that are timely and relevant. Current hot areas like AI, ML applications, cybersecurity, IoT, blockchain, sustainable computing. But don't chase trends blindly. Ensure you have genuine expertise in the area. So define clear contributions. Ask our contribution could be a new method or a comprehensive survey, a novel application, or critical analysis. Be able to state your contribution in one or two sentences. For example, instead of deep learning in image processing, if I give a title like deep learning in image processing, it may be a strong topic, would be attention mechanisms in transfer-based models for medical image segmentation. See the difference between the deep learning in image processing and attention mechanisms in transformer-based models for medical image segmentation. The second one is a specific technical and fills a clear niche. Now coming to the design, when we design before writing, here we have to have a critical warning. That means When a researchers write 10,000 words only to realize their structure does not work. Rushing into writing creates uh, disorganized content, logical gaps, and endless revision cycles. So think of like building a house. You need a blueprints before laying bricks. So create a section-wise outline. So we have to develop a detailed roadmap with clear section boundaries, subsections, and content allocation before writing begins. So define flow of ideas. Each section should manually, that means naturally, lead to the next. That means first of all we have to write an introduction section, then literature review, then methodology, results, and conclusion. We have to ask that does each paragraph logically follow from the previous one? That means it should have a connectivity between these chapters. So map content to sections. Assign specific content, data, and arguments to each section. Ensure balanced distribution. Don't make one section 50% of your chapter. We have to check that all the key points covered in one thing redundantly. So the chapter, the blueprint, these are the 5 academic book chapters. That means when we write a chapter, we have to take these 5 sections. It's what editors expect and what readers are comfortable navigating. Whereas coming to the introduction section, it should have length typically 10 to 15% of your chapter. And key question is that why should readers care about this topic? That means here what to include: context, problem statement, objectives, and chapter organization. Whereas coming to the literature review, it shows the existing work and we have to identify the gaps from the existing works. That means what it will include here, it will include the group studies, critical analysis, and identified gaps. So here totally we have to concentrate here 20 to 25% of our chapter. Then next coming to the methodology, here it will explain how approaches the problem, what to include, that means architecture, algorithms, experimental setup, and any equations if needed. Here we have to concentrate 25 to 30% of our chapter. Out here we have to make sure that how did you done that implementation about that algorithm, how we are going to implement with the features, data set, all these things we have to write here. Now coming to the section 4, it is a result section. That means it will present our findings with evidence. So what to include here, we have to include tables, comparison, structural analysis. Here the length must should be a 20 to 25% of our chapter. Next coming to the conclusion, here the purpose is we have to synthesize our key findings and we have to discuss implications, acknowledge limitations, and propose future directions. That means here the structure is a proven framework, but it's not a good, it's not a rigid, and we have to adapt this section with lengths based on your domain. For example, a theoretical chapter might have a longer methodology section, while a survey chapter might emphasize literature review. This is very important. The first impression is the title writing. So a weak title can get your chapter rejected before the first paragraph is read. A strong title attracts the right readers and sets expectations. So be specific and technical. Your title should immediately tell readers what your chapter is about. Use technical terminology appropriate of your field and avoid vague words like study, investigation, or analysis without specifies. That means without any specifics. So here we have to use method plus problem plus domain. That means the structure creates precise informative titles. Method, that means what approach did you use? That means deep learning, blockchain, or optimization. And problem, what issue, do you address? That means resource allocation, security, and prediction. Domain, where did you apply? That means here we have to apply whether we have applied in machine learning or cloud computing or in IoT or in any healthcare like that. So avoid generic titles, phrases like a study of or an investigation into, like this signals will give amateur of our work. So every word in your title should earn its place. That means machine learning applications is a title. If you think it is a title, it is a weak title. It is a too broad, but it is a weak title. So we have to give a strong title like deep reinforcement learning for optimized resource allocation in cloud computing environment. So here the title is having a specific method, and here the title is having a clear problem, and here we are defining the domain itself. That gives a specific, so that we have to very when we are fixing the title, we have to see that it must should have a strong. Then the readers or writers, whatever the editors, will give a first priority to go for the next step. So next one is abstract writing. Your abstract is a mini version of your entire chapter. So many readers will decide whether to read your full chapter based solely on the abstract. It must be compelling and comprehensive. So here the 5 component structure. One is background, problem, method, result, and contribution. So when we go for a background, it will see the why is this research area is very important. Example, with this proliferation of IoT devices, efficient data processing has become critical. This is an example of why this research area is very important. Like that, for the coming to the problem, what specific challenges does your chapter addresses? Like that, we have to give for any for each and every section. And coming to the method, we have to briefly describe our approach. That means here we have to give the methodology or any analytical framework. That means here we have to include techniques or any frameworks which we have been used. And the fourth one is a result section. It will summarize your main findings with the specific metrics. That means we have to achieve. That means here mainly we are concentrated in the result section. The numbers are very powerful here. That means if you evaluate in the machine learning, if you go for a machine learning, you usually go for performance metrics like accuracy. If you are having more number, it is a better than achieved existing one. Like that, we will check here in the result section. So coming to the contribution, state clearly what your chapter adds to the field, and this is your value proposition to entire your work. And we have to see that our quality concise to typically 150 to 250 words. Every sentence must carry weight. Informative, include specific details like methods, data, and outcomes. That means the key outcomes. And coming to the reflective, accurately present the full chapter content without end lives, without the represent of exaggeration. So this is the abstract keyword. What we'll say that background, problem, method, result, contribution, BPMRC. That is B for background and P for problem and M for method and result for R and contribution for C. Next, introduction. This introduction as the main job. Here we have to convince the readers that your chapter is worth their time. It must answer 3 questions. Why this topic? Why now? Why your approach? These are the 3 topics the readers or the editors or the reviewers will search in the introduction section. So here we are considering 4 subsections. One is a provide context. Here we have to begin with the general research area, then focus on your specific domain. That means global context or domain context or your specific focus. Help readers understand the landscape before introducing your work. And clearly define problem. The problem statement is the heart of your introduction, and we have to see that existing the problem statement should be precise, measurable, and significant. So highlights your research gap. This is where you justify your chapter's existence. Shows what's missing in current knowledge or practice. Use phrases like however existing approaches fail to, or despite advances in little attention has been paid to. The gap should be clear and very significant. So in coming to the list contributions, tell readers exactly what they will gain from your chapter. Use bullet points for clarity. And the chapter should have proposes a novel algorithm, and it should validate on real world data sets, and it achieves more than 25% of improvement with existing ones. Next, coming to the next very important thing is literature review writing. From this literature review writing only, there mainly the researchers has to identify the research gaps. Okay, so in this we have to see that group studies by methods. We have to organize related research methodologically rather than chronologically. Create coherent categories that highlight different approaches to similar problems. So when we compare the approaches, we should describe, analyze, and compare. That means here we have to discuss the strengths. That means method in accuracy but requires significant computational resources, and we have to discuss the weakness, and we have to evaluate the critical expertise what they have been compared, and we have to identify the limitations here. That means here we have to highlight what is what's missing or problematic in existing work. Be fair but critical. Don't attack others or critical approaches. That means here we have to limit here these limitations should create the foundation for your contribution. By using these limitations only, we have to highlight our research gap. That means we have to synthesize everything to clearly articulate the gap of what your chapter fills. This should flow naturally from your analysis. Position your work as the logical next step. That means introduction to review scope. Here, what will you cover? And thematic grouping of studies. That means organizing by approach and critical analysis and comparison. Here, we will evaluate strengths and weakness and identification of gaps. That means what is missing here, and transition of your contribution. How does your work address these gaps? And coming to the quality indicators, 80% of citations should be from the last 5 years. Prefer Scopus or Web of Science indexed sources. We have to cite these articles, then we'll have some quality in our article. And we have to maintain a balanced perspective and don't be overly negative about prior work, and be critical, not just descriptive. Coming to the methodology section, here the methodology section is where we have to prove our work is rigorous and reproducible. Other researchers should be able to replicate your work based on this section alone. So when we explain an architecture, we have to describe the overall system design or framework. Here we have to use hierarchical organizations system and how the modules or components has been designed in our framework. So here we have to explain each and every component interact and contribute to the entire framework, and provide algorithm steps. Present procedures in numbered steps or pseudocode. We have to include sufficient detail for implementation, and we have to define all variables and parameters, and we have to explain the logic behind key decisions, and we have to include the diagrams. That means visual representations. Dramatically it should be have we have to enhance the comprehension. That means we have to use, if we need any flowchart for process or system diagrams for architecture and workflow diagrams for procedures, or ensure we have all the diagrams have clear labels and lessons and captions. This is a well designed diagram and which can replace pages of your text. And if you use equations, that means some of the chapters may include mathematical formulations, and we can add some precisions to that. So present key equations with clear variable definitions and expandable their significations in the narrative text. Next, coming to the results and analysis. Here, when we maintaining use tables and graphs, we have to give visualization, make data accessible. That means when we present a table here, we have to give precise values that means best for precise values and comprehensions. That means if you give a graph, we have to show that distributions and relationships. If you want to give any practices, best practices, here we have to show the clear labels, informative captions, and consistent formatting. So when we choose the right visualization, either tables or graphs or best practices, we have to be careful about that. So bar charts for comparisons, line graphs for trends, and scatter plots for relationships. These are the right visualization to select to show your result analysis. And coming to the compare with baseline, so benchmark your results against existing methods. This is very, very important to our work. So we have to benchmark our results against existing methods, and we have to show relative performance. And our method achieves 15% more than 15% higher accuracy than the baseline. So it will include statistical significance tests like p-values, or we can go for any confidential intervals. That means we can go for any comparative analysis or demonstrative the value of your any contribution. So coming to the explain improvements, when a quality gains with specific metrics, don't just say better, say 25% faster or 30% more accurate. That means here we have to explain why improvements matter in practical terms. That means we have to connect results back to the problem what we have defined in the introduction. That means simply to say that at the end of the introduction, we are going to write the contributions of the work what we are going to be done. So that should be matched with the results what we have given here. And we have to discuss the limitations. So acknowledge constraints honestly, and we have to consider any examples. That means dataset, any dataset limitations or computational constraints, scope restrictions, like that we can discuss in the limitations. And we have to see that when we are giving the result section, we have to see the checklist that are data accurately presented or not, visualizations clearly presented and labeled or not, comparisons has been included or not, statistical validation has been shown or not, interpretation provided or not. We have to see that. So here we have to explain each and every checklist so that the result section will have some quality, so that it will give clear idea about your entire work. Now coming to the conclusion writing, the conclusion is our final opportunity to leave a last impression. That means here it should synthesize your key findings, and it will acknowledge limitations, and it will point toward future research. So here we have to summarize the key findings. That means concisely we have to restate the most important results, and we have to focus on 3 to 5 takeaways, and we should not repeat the everything what we have done, and we have to synthesize complex outcomes into clear memorable points, and we have to reinforce our chapter's value without introducing any new information. So we have to mention the limitations. That means acknowledge the boundaries of our work, and better if you discuss about the data size, experimental conditions, or methodological constraints. It will demonstrate scholarly integrity and scientific maturity. That means it will give the limitations which provide context for interpreting your results. Coming to the suggest feature work, when we propose our findings for extending our research work, it will identically explore aspects, potential improvements, or related problems that will give investigation what we have position of our work with the ongoing scholar conversion. So when we go for a conclusion structure, we have to brief recap of our problem and approach, and we have to summarize of our key results, and we have to give the statement of contributions, and we have to highlight our limitations and caveats, and we have to concentrate on future research directions what we are going to go extension. And finally the references, here it will find the foundation for academic creditability. They show your work is grounded in existing scholarship and give credit to those who paved the way. That means poor referencing can underdetermine an otherwise or excellent chapter. That means if you use a recent chapters, that means 80% of citations from the last 5 years. Recent citations should acquire more current knowledge. Old papers are fine for foundational concepts, but current work should not dominate. So we have to check publication dates carefully, and reviewers notice that outdated references. So we have to main concentrate on recent 5 years and prefer indexed sources. So when we cite a reference, we have to be careful that that particular reference should be cited in either a corpus, either it should be a web of science, either it should be of any SCI Q1 or Q2. That means we can go for a quartile also. So if you are going to write a SCI Q1 article, I prefer you have to cite the SCI Q1 articles only. So here, when we are citing an articles, we have to prefer the base which are indexing in the world. That means Scopus or Web of Science, and we have to maintain a consistency. We have to follow. We have to follow a single citation style. That means APA or IEEE or ACM, etc. And throughout your chapter, either consistent formatting demonstrates attention in detail and professional standards. So coming to the reference quality checklist, we have to see here the mainly the reviewers will concentrate on 80% from last 5 years and indexed journal or conference papers, and we have to see that reputable publishers and venues and proper citation format throughout the article and directly relevant to your work. So this is the finally academic writing style. So these are the three important points. One is formal tone, and second one is avoid redundancy, and third one is be precise and clear. So coming to the formal tone, when we writing an article, we have to maintain a professional. It should be an objective language and throughout, and we have to avoid colloquialisms, contractions, and personal any opinions. And we have to avoid writing we think our method is pretty good, and instead of writing this statement we have to prefer the proposed method demonstrate and significant performance improvements. So the way of formal tone should be very carefully we have to concentrate. Coming to the avoid redundancy, every sentence should add a new information. So eliminate wordiness and repetition. And example, in this chapter, we present a novel approach that is new and innovative, is redundant. Here, we have to present a novel approach is sufficient. Okay, so be precise and clear. We have to use a specific unambiguous language. We have to define a technical terms, quantify claims with the data, and avoid vague qualifiers. That means if you see the statement, the results are quite good and much better. We have to avoid this type of sentences. We have to prefer the proposed method achieves 85% accuracy, representing a 15% improvement comparing with the existing ones. This is the way we have to write the statement. So we have to be careful while writing a sentence, and we have to be very precise and clear. So writing style. So we can go for a checklist. That means use the third person. That means the authors propose rather than we propose in formal context, and use active voice when possible. It's more direct, and technical terms we have to use. So don't oversimply or overcomplicate, and be evidence based. Every claim should be supported. So the results what we have given, it should be impacted to your work, and it should be matched with your algorithm. We have to see that the results and the contributions of your work and the methodology what your written is having same or not. Whether we have that means we have to present, we have to claim for evidence. And the common the researchers commonly do the mistakes. So weak structure, that means disorganized chapters with unclear section boundaries and logical gaps or missing transitions confuse readers and undetermined credibility. So this is the solution to avoid this. We have to create detailed outline before writing, and we have to use consistent headings and logical flow between sections. And second one is no novelty. That means so many people will write the work but without having a novelty. It will not be considered. So chapters that merely summarize existing work without adding new insights, methods, or findings fail to meet publication standards. So for this solution is we have to clearly articulate your unique contribution. What is new in your knowledge, or what are the capability does your work provide? And poor explanation, insufficient detail in methodology, or unclear result interpretation, or inadequate justification for approach and the choices leave readers confused. Here we have to write a solution that we have to provide a sufficient detail for reproducibility, explain the why behind your choices. And plagiarism issues, using others' work without proper attribution, excessively quoting, or insufficient paraphrasing constitutes academic misconduct. So when we are copying any other images or any data, we have to cite or we have to take a permission from them. Okay, so that if you did not take any permission, simply it will say that misconduct. So finally, what I mean to give a solution to avoid this is we have to cite all the sources from where we are copying, where we are acquiring. So use plagiarism detection tools and paraphrase in our own words. So the next one is quality assurance. This is the main important thing. After completing of your entire work, we have to go for quality assurance. This is an editing and refinement. So writing is rewriting. That means simply to say that your first draft is just the beginning. The editing process is where good chapters or good technical good just uh, good chapters give the main becoming excellent ones. That means the editing process is where good chapters become excellent ones and invest significant time in refinement. So coming to the technical correctness, verify all the equations and algorithms, data and technical claims, whether we have cited or not. Check for mathematical accuracy, logical consistency, and correct implementation details have been presented or not. If not, we have to do modifications before submitting to the editorial or conferential board. Okay. Next, coming to the language clarity, we have to eliminate grammatical errors and we have to see the phrasing and we have to avoid ambiguous statements. Simply to say that we have to see that there should not be a gap in between the sentences and the paragraphs connectivity. That means here we have to ensure smooth sentence flow and appropriate academic vocabulary. Logic flow, ensure coherent transitions between paragraphs and sections, and each idea should naturally lead to the next, building a compelling narrative. So when we are editing, we have to go for a checklist that grammar and spelling verified, technically accuracy confirmed or not, consistency in terminology, reference format uniform, figures and tables labeled, section transition smooth, redundancy eliminated, abstract and conclusion aligned. So coming to the editing phases, self-review, that means take a break after writing, then read critically. Fresh eyes catch more errors. That means whatever when we are writing an article, we can't identify the errors. So if we take a break and if you go through once or twice, then we can easily identify the errors which we are not identified before. And we have to go for a peer review. That means get feedback from your colleagues, or they will spot issues what you have missed. And coming to the professional, consider language editing services, especially if English is not your first language. And coming to the publication targets, and choosing the right publisher is crucial for visibility and impact. Let's choose let's Look at three premier academic publishers that publish high quality book chapters. Not only three, there are so many. In this slide, what I am showing is only the three publishers. One is Springer, Elsewhere, and Wiley. Okay, so coming to the Springer, if you see that one of the world's leading academic publishers with extensive coverage in science, technology, and medicine, Springer Publishers numerically is having a book series and edited volumes, and mainly we have to focus on areas computer science, engineering, AML, data science, and scientific computing. Whereas coming to the Elsewhere, it is a global research analytics. That means major publisher or scientific literature with a strong emphasis on high impact research. That means Elsewhere book publications are widely recognized and cited across disciplines. Here also, if you it will focus on computer science, information systems, and engineering and mathematics. Whereas coming to the Willy, it is a research and education, and it will establish publisher with a strong reputation in scientific, technical, and medical research. So Wiley book publications maintain high editorial standards. So here in this focusing computing, data science, software engineering, and information technology. So in my view, the Springer is a premier academic publisher, and Elsewhere is a global research analytics, and Willy is a research and education. So while publishing, we have to go for a selection criteria. We have to relevance to the publisher focus areas. So on which focus areas the particular publisher is going to concentrate, we have to send our article to that related to the publisher. And we have to see that before sending an article to that publisher, we have to check the status of indexing, whether it is indexing in Scopus, Web of Science, or any other what you are expecting. And we have to see the editorial reputation and peer review, how many days it will take time, and all the peer reviews are there or not, we have to check. And we have to see the publication timeline and visibility. So if you take a long time, then it is a chance to get plagiarize our article. So before sending an article, we have to see the publication timeline and visibility also.
Sorry for the interruption, Dr. Shiva. We are left with 5 more minutes now.
Yeah, just a minute. Last one. So coming to the indexing awareness, just already we have discussed in the previous chapter, that is a Scopus indexing and Web of Science, and we have to check the previous volumes, and we have to see the visibility and citations, and we have to go for academic recognition, and we have to carry our professional growth. So finally, when we write an article, we have to design, write, and refine. So already we have discussed that design means a plan structure, outline sections, and we have to map the content flow before writing begins. And coming to the right, we have to follow academic conventions, and we have to maintain formal tone, ensure clarity. And coming to the refine, we have to edit rigorously, verify accuracy, and polish language and seek feedback. So focus on clarity, ensure your contribution is evident, quality prevails. Thank you. Thank you for your all attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shiva, for your valuable insights and practical session on how to write a high-quality book chapter. Your valuable tips on structuring, writing, and publishing will surely help many researchers and authors in their academic journey. We would also like to thank all our participants for attending today's session and for your active engagement. A special thanks to the entire AI Explain You Science team for making this event possible. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask. Anyone in the audience, do you have guys any question you can ask?
Hi, sir. I have just one little confusion. Like when I go for selecting my title, I really struggle there. I saw your guidelines, and I also found this kind of guidelines in the internet, but I really struggled, and somehow I just seek help from my seniors, teachers, or from my sometimes from the AI. But I still not so much confident to select my title by all independently. So for these issues, where can I focus more, or how I can overcome and can be confident here to make a killing title?
So actually, I told you now, madam, when we select a title, we have to concentrate on our domain and the methodology, what we are applying a model, and on which area we are going to concentrate. So these are the three important points, madam, we have to concentrate. That means domain. I already told you. I will send you the PPT also, madam. So when we are preparing a title, we have to concentrate only on these three topics, madam. So mainly the algorithm what we have chosen, and it should have a novelty, madam. Okay, so and on which domain we are applying, that is the main impact it will give the editors or reviews to work continuously or not.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I think the PPT will help. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you once again, all of you. We look forward to see you in our future sessions. Have a very wonderful day ahead.
Okay, thank you to all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
I will personally thank Dr. Shiva Shankar Reddy for giving a very valuable discussion and session, especially to the students, to the professors, to the researchers. Really, thank you so much for coming. It's a big
Thank you,
honor
sir.
to
Thank you
have
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Okay.
It would be great if you could share your email, Dr. Shiva. Actually, someone from the audience is asking in the chat box.
Yeah, I'm sharing my mail.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll share the PPT. Okay, I have sent my mail ID in the chat box. You can ask any queries if you have.
Thank you very much, all of you. If you don't have any questions, the session has been ended. Thank you.